Today is a day to celebrate. We finished a project. I'm gonna have to clean that up. Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared, and this is Wrench Every Day. The project we're celebrating is our 2002 Chevy Tahoe, the abandoned vehicle that my friend gave me that had been just sitting around, rotting under a pine tree. We brought it back and got it back to life. And if you notice, this is my Toyota Supra. It is not a Chevy Tahoe, and that's because the Tahoe has a new home and is off working already. And in today's episode, we're gonna go over just what it cost to bring that thing back to life, and did it make any sense, or was it only YouTube math that made it possible? Speaking of making it possible, today's sponsor has got something almost impossible for you to believe. Now, what sponsor, you may be asking yourself, is gonna have something that's impossible to believe? What if I told you it was a company whose sole purpose was to help you save money and get in better financial health? Today's sponsor, Truebill, is just that. Truebill is an all-in-one financial app for busy people like you and me. The Personal Financial Manager allows you to manage subscriptions, lower your bills, monitor your credit score, build your savings, all in one place. Getting started with Truebill couldn't be easier. Head on over to truebill.com/wrench, download that app, sign up for the service, and they start doing the work for you. Truebill works to quickly identify all of those recurring subscriptions that you have and have probably forgotten about. When I got signed up, I found almost $40 a month in subscriptions I forgot I even had and didn't even need anymore. Once it's identified all of those forgotten subscriptions, they make it incredibly easy to cancel all through the app. Truebill also makes it incredibly easy to lower your bills as well. They will negotiate on your behalf with your phone bill, cable bills, credit card bills, and get them lowered for you. My personal favorite feature from Truebill is their budgeting program. You can go through and work out your monthly budget and set limits for your spending, and when you exceed them, it sends you a notice. I've been getting a lot of notices about exceeding my car parts purchases, but the show must go on, right? Another important feature of Truebill is their credit score monitoring. They are able to notify you of any changes to your credit report and provide you tips on how to improve that score. And if you're as forgetful as I am to transfer money into a savings account, you can set up a smart savings account with Truebill where they will automatically deposit your set amount each month that you can withdraw from at any time. If you're ready to start seeing how much money you can save each month and take those steps to improving financial health, head on over to truebill.com/wrench or click the link in the video description below. All right. I don't know if I'm old enough to make those noises, but let's have a chat. So if you remember the 2002 Tahoe, its primary problem was its inability to move in reverse, and it barely moved forward. Anyone who knows that generation of vehicle has a transmission with the transmission code 4L60E. They're known as the neutral transmissions and have a pretty problematic history. They like to break and break well. I don't know how well that sound is coming through to you guys, but it's not good. And in my naivety, I was hoping the recent remanufactured transmission was going to be good, and the locked up front differential and damaged transfer case was going to be our primary culprits. We are going to cover our eyes about the obvious transmission problem, take care of maintenance, oil changes, and get the two parts that we know 100% are broken replaced, and maybe it works then. But that wasn't the case. We had a very broken 4L60E transmission. Most likely inside the transmission, the sun shell was what was broken and stripped, and that was what was allowing it not to have reverse and make those horrific grinding sounds. They also are good at breaking planetary gears. There was just a lot that could have been broken. Best case would have been a $300 amount of parts to $1,000 worth of parts. So if I was keeping it, I probably would have taken it apart and rebuilt it, but because the plan was most likely for this to end up in a new home, I liked the idea of someone having a nationwide warranty. So we went with a remanufactured transmission, and that transmission came in at a retail cost of $3,200. For me, with a friend that had a wholesale account, I got it for just over $2,400, $2,450. That had the nationwide warranty, so whoever got the vehicle on a cross-country trip, they were going to be well taken care of no matter where they went. Also wrong in that drivetrain, that front differential. It had the breather cap that had somehow come completely out, lost its oil, and locked up with the damaged transfer case. I called my friend John, the guys at J&J Auto Wrecking, and they set me up and gave me those parts. Retail from them on those parts as a pair is $800. So retail cost $800. It was $0 for me, thanks to the J&J guys. The lights, granted the new ones that I got weren't very good, but we replaced those dingy headlights and the broken fog lights. Those were about $220 for the pair. The water pump was leaking profusely and the bearings were damaged. That was $185. I paid retail for it. The drive belt tensioners and idlers, retail of $80. I paid $65. The drive belts, cracked bad, you've got it all apart anyway. Retail about $85 for a good one, and I paid $60. Now these are parts you could get cheap on. You can just buy the cheap bottom of the barrel, but I don't like having to redo work a whole lot, so we got good quality parts, not the top shelf, not the bottom shelf, kind of the upper mid tier. When you're shopping for yourself, I recommend just don't buy the cheapest right off the bat. If you can, get something a little bit better so you're not immediately rebuying and doing the job again. The exhaust manifolds, because someone previously replacing that transmission didn't bother to use the right size socket, unfortunately damaged those nuts. We fought that a whole lot. I didn't have air to use my air chisel or plasma torch. Welding didn't work. Eventually pulled the manifolds because the studs just would not come off and ended up having to replace them. Randy had a used pair he gave me. You can get Dorman new manifolds for $220 for the pair. So figure retail $220 with all new hardware. My manifolds cost me $0 plus about $20 for the new studs and nuts. And spark plugs, again, good quality parts, not putting cheap ones in. $32. Plug wires were $40. The rear hatch shocks for both the glass and the tailgate was $105 for good ones. And then this is the surprising part. How much oil costs. By the time you're done with your engine oil, trans oil, coolant, gear oil, all of those fluids, they just chip away at your budget real quick. Quality synthetic oil and oil filter was $40. The transmission oil, because the warranty required you to run a particular fluid, was about $60. Spent $35 on coolant, $3 on distilled water, about $80 for gear oil for the front diff, transfer case, rear differential. All new bulbs for the rear and for the front, including new ones for the headlights because they were supposed to come with bulbs and didn't. It was $120. We've got new rear air shocks. Those were $140. We had the oil filler tube. That was $10. And then just some consumable cleaners. Brake clean, we spent about $16 on that. Interior detailing supplies, all of the chemicals and stuff that was consumed trying to clean the interior and exterior of the car was about $110. A battery, again, buying a good quality battery with new terminal hardware was $200. I'm sure there's a lot of little things I forgot and didn't add into this list. So, drum roll, retail price list, $5,780. My cost, $3,970. The question is it worth it? If you were going to go out and buy one of these vehicles on the market right now, realistically, you're gonna spend $7,000, $8,000. You can find one that had the paint imperfections right around the $6,000 mark, but you don't know that it's had any of this work done. So very clearly, it is worth it in the sense that by the time you're done with it, you have spent what it would cost retail to buy one. But you now know it has all of its maintenance taken care of, water pump's been done, drivetrain is good, and it is ready to go and just service you a whole lot longer. Could probably rephrase that a little bit better. Servicing you is probably not the right phrase. So yes, at the end of the day, you could buy one for what you would spend fixing a free one if you got one, or let's say you found one for a couple $100s that was just sitting like this truck was. But the benefit is you now know all of the work has been taken care of on the truck. It has a new transmission. It's not going to be looming over you as a failure point. The water pump's been good. All of the oil has been changed. So you're in a really good spot to know the vehicle is not going to leave you with any surprises. So yes, I would say it is 100% worth it. Some of the small things that still needed to get handled on the truck was a new set of tires. It needed some front end suspension parts. So you add those into the mix, it can get, again, pretty expensive depending on, again, what tier of part you went with. When you buy suspension parts, you don't want to go for the cheapest right off the bat. Generally, Moog heavy duty parts are very good and are going to take care of you, and they're not going to be the most expensive, but they're definitely not the cheapest. All performance of your vehicle relies on good tires, so don't go bottom barrel. You want to get something decent there, and you'll spend $800 very quickly. Now the question you're all probably, at least some of you, were asking, where did the truck go? Well, right before I went out of town, I got a call from a friend that knew someone who was looking for a vehicle that the Tahoe matched perfectly. He needed something that was gonna work very well, that could go out on his chicken farm, do utility truck things, needed to be four-wheel drive, automatic, and then still run to town and be a decent enough truck to take the wife to the grocery store. The Tahoe, with paint imperfections and a very well optioned interior, met that need perfectly. So, what did I sell it for? In full disclosure, I sold it for pretty much every cent that I had in it, $4,250. The guy knew he was gonna need to go ahead and handle the tires and the front suspension parts on his own. Otherwise, it's been an absolutely perfect truck, doing exactly what it needed to do, work on a farm, and go to town. So that's what happened to the Tahoe. It ended up costing me a lot more than I expected. The paint ended up not recovering quite as well as I'd hoped, and I sold it for exactly what it cost me. So I ended up technically not making money. It was a project I was happy to do. It was something that you guys related very well with. It's gone on to work and serve as a utility vehicle, and I couldn't be happier with the outcome of the truck. My friend had a lot of sentimental value with it. He didn't want it to just get destroyed, and it is off working, doing everything that the truck should. And again, should you do this project if you have an opportunity? Absolutely. You're gonna learn a lot wrenching along the way. It's a very common platform that has a ton of information out there available on the web. And realistically, I could have sold that truck with a little bit of paint work for $9,000, $10,000 in the Northeast. It's a very popular thing right now. It was more of I wanted to go ahead and unload it to free up money for some other projects coming in, as well as the engine parts for Earl. We've got lots of really cool, exciting things coming up. And speaking of something really cool and exciting, it came in just this morning, and I'm gonna show it to you right now. Yeah, we'll get the vacuum out in a minute for that. But let's get excited. We have our quick jacks in. This is the first bit of equipment that we have coming in from our friends at BenPack. I'm excited to have these quick jacks as well as some lifts coming in. Those aren't here quite yet, and that's part of the reason why the shop is still a little bit of mess. We're trying to figure out how everything is going to lay out once the equipment arrives. But if you don't know what a quick jack is, well, they're in that box. Let's hurry up and get these things unboxed, and I'll show you what they are and why they are valuable, even if you're going to have lifts in a shop, or you can fit them and use them at home. Do you guys want to see an unboxing time lapse, or should we just do one of these? Okay, let me try one more time. One more time. Think really hard, concentrate with me, and open. All right, we got it out of the box, but you guys didn't put it together for me. So this is a set of quick jacks. If you have never seen them, I love to have these things around. They're just fantastic, even with a lift. If you've got a car that you just need to pick up a couple feet, have full access to the doors, if you're just doing suspension work, these work amazing. You have a portable central pump. There's all your hydraulic fittings, and you have these two rail assemblies that will go under some rocker panels, and you've got all kinds of different blocks available, pinch weld adapters, just straight frame adapters, to then pick the car up and get it to a nice workable height. We're going to be using these really quick, actually on the Supra, because we're going to be changing its transmission soon. So in the next episode of, I guess, Supra wrenching, you are going to see quick jacks in action, where we are going to, again, change out the transmission, do a little bit of work and fun to it. So as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us as we go over the costs of fixing an abandoned Tahoe and how much more it actually ended up being, but it still, at the end of the day, worked out just fine, and you should definitely find every free abandoned vehicle you can and bring it back to life, because why not? So that's going to go ahead and wrap up for the day. I'm Jared, reminding you to always make questionable choices, and when it comes to tribbles, make sure you don't feed them.